Acting chairman of the Board of Trustees of the People's Democratic Party, Adolphus Wabara, says the efforts of the BOT to resolve the lingering crisis rocking the party is currently inconclusive but remains a work in progress. Senator Wabara said this shortly after a closed-door meeting with Rivers State Governor Wike in Port Harcourt. Wabara expressed confidence that the PDP will emerge victorious in the 2023 general elections. He says every governor is expected to turn his states to begin to campaign for all the party's candidates. The meeting, which lasted about 4 hours, had in attendance BOT members like Ibrahim Idris, Okwesilieze Nwosu, Shuaib Oyedokun, Kabiru Turki, Esther Udehi, and Zainab Meina. Governor Wike said it's important to all of them is to ensure that the unity of the party is not endangered.
We have not concluded. It's always easy to destroy, but to make peace takes some time. But I think we are at it. We are better informed. We've gotten some information. Every coin has two sides to it. So we have been briefed by His Excellency. And so we will go back to Abuja. We'll be going back to Abuja to really digest all that we gathered from His Excellency. And it was very frank talks. But one good thing is that this family still remains one. We are still under that umbrella called PDP. And by the special grace of God, we will end up very victorious, and we will end up at the villa in 2023, with his cooperation and the cooperation of and support of all the other, governors, 4 of them. I think we will make progress. There's no doubt about that.
Like the party, the acting chairman board of trustees has said, peace. What's important for you to have unity, even if it takes you longer days.
Yeah.
What is important is that the house is united. For a war that's coming in front. So the issue of whether they achieve peace today or not is immaterial. What's material? At the end of the day, the PDP is united house. I think that is the message he's conveying. And we have said repeatedly that we are not leaving the party. We have said so. But that does not mean that there are no internal issues that ought to be sorted out. I think what they are here for is to see how they can sort out some internal issues. I think that point has been made.
Meanwhile, the People's Democratic Party has confirmed the 10th of October as the official date to kickstart its campaign for the 2023 general elections. While inspecting the Atiku Abubakar campaign office in Abuja, the Director General of the PDP Presidential Campaign Council, Aminu Tambawa, confirmed that the exercise will kick off in Uyo, the Akwa Ibom state capital. The Sokoto state governor says that only PDP has inaugurated its campaign council, taunting other political parties that they were not set for campaign. He also noted that the PDP remains the party to beat, and efforts are in top gear to settle what he calls a political engagement rather than a rift.
We are, by the grace of God, flagging off the campaign this coming Monday, being the 10th of October, 2023, at Uyo, Akwa Ibom State. All arrangements are being made for us to have a very, very successful flag-off of the campaign. Our campaign is going to be issue-based, and we are going to be marketing our candidate based on the program that we have rolled out, which is generally solution-based. We are not going to go about fishing. Atiku Abubakar is very well prepared to provide the required leadership that this country needs at this time. He has the experience in governance at the federal level, which I believe none of the rest of the candidates can match. And this is not time for Nigeria to go into trial and error. everything humanly possible to settle our disagreements. They are political. I've said it in Uyo about a week or 2 weeks ago that we are not involved in a war of attrition. It is a political disengagement, and we are working by the grace of God to resolve all of those outstanding issues.
All right, Dr. Bati, your take on this issues?
Okay, the first thing about the People's Democratic Party kicking off its campaign and the choice of Akwa Ibom State. Okay, just basic sense. Akwa Ibom State is a PDP state. The chairman of the Presidential Campaign Council of the PDP campaign is the governor of Akwa Ibom State, Udom Emmanuel. So, maybe that commonsensical thing about charity beginning at home. So the campaign will start in Akwa Ibom with the Director General, Governor Tambuwal of Sokoto State, telling us that, okay, we'll start from Akwa Ibom, and from there they will go to the rest of the country. But I guess the most important point that he has made is the fact that the campaign will be issues-based. Because at this moment, when you look at this campaign process, it's degenerating at the level of ethnicity and, the lack of sense on the part of some of the surrogates who claim to be supporting certain persons. And I keep repeating the point that if you have a candidate and you go about just making enemies, that in itself will be counterproductive. But it's good to see the PDP saying, yes, they are ready, they want to campaign, but it's not a big deal saying that, PDP is the only party that is ready. We are the only ones that have launched our campaign. Others will do so. We have 5 months, so there's more than enough time, for other political parties to jump onto the train. And for anybody who has had even the smallest political experience, you know that campaigns are expensive. So in the space of 5 months, the boys will be separated from the men. Those who are courageous will be separated from those who are just making noise. So it's all about strategy. Politics is all about strategy. And how you define your strategy can give you advantage, even when you probably originally, technically, may not deserve the advantage. That's the point about that. Now, the other issue is about the meeting that the People's Democratic Board of Trustees had yesterday with Nyesom Wike. Yes, that was discussed on this program yesterday when we said the BOT, led by Senator Adolphus Wabara, will be meeting with Governor Wike yesterday. What we know is that the meeting was inconclusive. Senator Adolphus Wabara, like other members of the political party, had given assurances that, the path of reconciliation will be pursued. Now, yesterday, no conclusions may have been reached, but the team that went to Port Harcourt said, well, they got fresh information, additional information. Now, what that information was, nobody told us. What we know is that, we have been robbing mines for 4 hours, according to Senator Adolphus Wabara. He also said that, they had very frank talks, but that one good thing is that the family remains one. Now, Governor Wike also echoed that when he said, well, he's not leaving the party, and that he's hopeful of reconciliation, and that he hopes that while the party remains one, because he talked about unity, he talked about peace. And he said he's not going anywhere. But people should realize that within political parties, there can be internal dissensions. And that he's optimistic that the matter will be resolved. That's a major improvement in the PDP conversation from the Wike side. Another thing that happened in Port Harcourt was what should be the mood of the meeting. Governor Wike was saying that, look, it should be an open meeting and that the media should be admitted into the meeting so that there will be no distortion of the outcome. And his grouse was that when he met with 4 other governors last week,
that the media went ahead to say, oh, Wike and 4 others had decided that they will leave the party and support Peter Obi of the Labour Party. And he was saying that such a thing did not happen. So let it be an open meeting so that nobody can distort the story. However, Wabara and his group, didn't agree to that. So it was a closed meeting for 4 hours. But in any case, it's good to see, that they are talking. However, nobody should be under the illusion that the problem in the People's Democratic Party is over. While Senator Adolphus Wabara was leading that BOT team to Port Harcourt yesterday, there was another meeting in Abuja led by Senator Iyorchia Ayu, the chairman of the party, who had been away on medical vacation and who returned last week. And he also called a meeting yesterday. Another meeting was the major issue. All that controversy about rent stipend, rent allowance, and whether or not it was agreed, at the meeting of the National Working Committee, and also Alhaji Ibrahim Sawuri, who has served the party diligently, also raising the point about, what should be the cap for approval by the party chairman and the powers of the National Working Committee. We were told that it was a tough meeting attended by those persons who returned money, led by Senator Taufik Arakaja, Deputy National Chairman of the party in the Southwest. And then you also had other people there. Professor Stella Atue was there, National Vice Chair, South-South, Deputy National Chairman Dan Obi. All of them were there. We were told that it was a hot meeting. And at the end of that meeting, the PDP decided to set up a committee to investigate what the matter was about this so-called 122 million naira that was paid as rent allowance to some chieftains of the party. Okay? So you had that going on in Abuja while Wabara and Co. were meeting in Port Harcourt. But at the same time, the party, you also have some people who call themselves the Committee of Aspirants and Candidates, passing a vote of no confidence in the leadership of Ayu, the National Secretary, and the Deputy National Chairman, North, Damagum. Okay, they issued a statement, and they were saying, if these 3 were not removed within 24 hours, they will go to court. So there are other levels, within the political party. As an attempt is being made to quench fire in one direction, another fire is being stoked in other directions. But as I said, we have 5 months. 24 hours is a long time in politics. What we keep asking for, whether it's the PDP or the APC or any other political party, is civility, decency, common sense, internal democracy within the parties. And these are political parties who have signed a peace accord. Yeah, that peace accord we established yesterday in a conversation has the force of moral suasion, not legal authority. But the commonsensical, expectation is that politicians should not go to this 2023 election as if they are going to war. That is my position.
A very valid point made, Dr. Abati. Good on the PDP. They said they will start their campaign on the 10th of October in Uyo. But let's not forget the PDP has got a lot of internal issues. Rearing Hydra heads everywhere. And it has to be said that a political party going to an election of this magnitude in 2023 without everybody being on board could be problematic. But I put a caveat, could be problematic, because if they solve their problems and they get things right, like they are talking, then they should be able to resolve things and have a united front to go forward. But to my mind, and please correct me, I might be wrong on this, it looks as though the PDP is seeing the fire in their political party, but they are missing the first basic rule on how to fight a fire. When you see a fire and you have a fire extinguisher, the first thing you are told to do is do not spray the fire extinguisher on the fire, but you spray it at the base of the fire. Because really, what makes fire burn is the interplay of oxygen. And the fire extinguisher pretty much is there to cut oxygen supply that fuels the fire. So I think it's incumbent on them to look inwards and start to look at the base of the fire. Because the base of the fire in this regard is the Wike issue that has also snowballed to the NWC issue that actually led to a shouting match, they say yesterday. The papers reported it, this day reported it was a shouting match that led to the big scandal about some monies being paid, and they said it was allowance for housing. And there was the back and forth. And that led to the brouhaha and the first meeting with RU. And if you would like to dial back to the base of the fire, all of this still goes back to their political party primaries. So it's time for them to look inwards. And maybe just reassess the way they've been using their internal settlement mechanism, which we can liken here or say is their fire extinguisher. I think this is a clarion one for them, a clarion call on them. So look inwards. And maybe when they're done with this, they can probably bring the issues so that Nigerians can debate the issues and the political parties too could debate the issues. Devoid of violence, because I'm seeing a new wave of violence. The campaign has just started, but we're seeing violence. People have broken the peace accord already. Members of opposing political parties were attacked. I hear of the Labour Party in Lagos. I hear of some APC members were attacked in Oyo. Some people were fingered. Anyway, they have denied it. They mentioned a certain auxiliary. No member of any political party should be attacked. And I hear of the Labour Party member in Lagos, Flag Boy, that was attacked. Nobody should be attacked. What we should all attack should be the issues facing millions of Nigerians. Because we are getting poorer every day. I put it to you that you were richer in January than you are now. Because in January, inflation was not taking away your money. Inflation was not over 20%. So as the months go by, we get poorer every day. And these issues affect all of us. You were richer in 2021 because you didn't have to use over 100% of your income added on to buy gas. We can't forget that the price of gas did rise, over 102% from August 2021 to this time. Let's talk the issues. The leadership of the the leadership of the House of Representatives has submitted its intervention report to President Muhammadu Buhari over the ongoing strike by members of the Academic Union of Universities. The meeting took place at the Presidential Villa. State House correspondent Adeso Amaro has the details.
There may be hope in sight for Nigerian students who have been at the receiving end of a face-off between the government and striking lecturers over wages, conditions of service, payment platform, and other demands. After a series of meetings lasting several hours, the House of Representatives leadership has come to present the report of its intervention, which began 4 weeks ago, to the President. After the closed-door meeting, Speaker Femi Gbajabiamila, who led a delegation of principal officers from the House, told journalists that the President has patiently listened and accepted to give the report a favorable look.
Mr. President, as usual, had a very good listening ear, and he took the report of the House He accepted it. We discussed it at length, the details of the report, and he wanted to go through them himself, and he will get back to us. We have another meeting on Thursday between our good selves and Mr. President for his final decision.
Asked if there are hopes that the strike will soon be called off so that the lecturers could return to the classrooms, the speaker had this to say.
Absolutely very hopeful. We had a good engagement. Very positive response. He asked us a couple of questions in some gray areas, which we clarified, and he accepted the report, and he wanted a couple of days to go through it.
The university lecturers, under the aegis of the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, have been on strike since February 14 this year, an action that President Muhammadu Buhari earlier today described as corrupt and undermining government's investment in the education sector. Adesua Omorwan, Arise News.
And as the strike by the Academic Staff Union of Universities ASU enters the 9th month, Minister for Labour and Productivity has given the Certificate of Recognition to the Congress of Nigerian University Academics, CONUA, and the Nigerian Association of Medical and Dental Lecturers in Academics, NAMDA.
The Congress of Nigerian University Academics, CONUA. CONUA applied for registration since 2018 and cited irreconcilable differences with ASU, as their members do not believe in recurring recrudescent strikes as the solution to every welfare agitation. They also accuse the ASU executive of non-rendition of accounts of incomes and expenditure for years. And in one of your letters, they asked for the removal of their check-off dues from ASU. And in one instance, wrote to the Accountant General of the Federation directly with this request. When this agitation became increasingly very serious, the Ministry of Labour and Employment set up a committee to look into the merit of the application. The committee saw merit in this application, recommended approval for the registration of the association by the Registry of Trade Unions, RTU, since 2019. But for the advent of COVID-19 in 2020, this will have been done. This was also not helped by the fact that ASU also went on strike in that same 2020, while COVID-19 was on. And the ministry felt that a registration at that time would be interpreted by all and sundry as we shunt. The second association is the Nigerian Association of Medical and Dental Lecturers in Academics, NAMDA. Like their colleagues in CONUA, they had applied for registration as medical teachers in the university system, but they applied under various groups.
All right, Dr. Bati, a lot to talk about on this.
Okay. The first thing, let's start with the idea of the registration of the coalition of National University Academics, CONUA. Now, CONUA, led by Professor Niyi Sumano, has been in existence since 2018. So I get the point that, CONUA as a rival breakaway faction of the, Academic Staff Union of Universities may have been making efforts, and indeed has been making efforts since 2018 to be registered. But the Ministry of Labour has a department called Directorate of Trade Union Services. They probably give conditions and said you have to meet these conditions for you to be registered. Before now, when there was a split in the Nigeria Labour Congress, Joe Ajero, our former Vanguard newspaper colleague, tried to register a rival group. Okay, that group was also given conditions. They didn't meet it. The Ministry of Labour did not register that group until eventually there was a reconciliation between Nigeria Labour Congress, TUC, and the other factions within the group. But in this case, so yesterday, the Minister of Labour said yesterday that CONWA has now met the conditions. What is the principal condition? That it must have the requisite number of lecturers involved in the public universities across the country, over 40 of them. So there was a ceremony giving CONWA the certificate of recognition and the license to exist as a body. So Professor Sumonu and his colleagues at the Obafemi Awolowo University, where you have the headquarters of CONWA, can now say, yes, they exist as a legitimate industrial union. The other group that was also given a certificate yesterday was the National Association of Medical and Dental doctors. In their own case, yes, they want recognition as members of the Nigerian Medical Association, NMA, of which they are members in any way, but their big issue, I may be wrong, and maybe they will come and explain themselves at some point. It's about money. It's about remuneration. They want to be on the same salary scale and enjoy the same benefits as members of the NMA. So that's the story in terms of context. But what are the implications? They are as follows. Number one is the fact that what happened yesterday, this issuance of license, happened on the same day that Femi Gbajabiamila, Speaker of the House of Representatives, was leading a team to meet with the president to submit recommendations. Another meeting has been scheduled for Thursday to see how the 8-month-long strike of ASU can be resolved. Now, I think that, the recognition of CONWA and NAMDA as rival groups within the university system just threw that whole process under the bus. It will amount, in my view, to, the Ministry of Labour trying to read the mind of the president, even when the president has not taken a decision on the matter beyond what we already know in the public domain. Number two, the timing of the recognition of CONWA and NAMDA, I think is wrong. The optics look bad. Given the background of how the Ministry of Labour, the Ministry of Education, and the federal government generally, have handled the ASU strike that has been on since February 14, 2022. Before now, the Ministry of Labour had threatened to withdraw the license of ASU. Before now, we had seen yesterday in a video, that spectacle of the Minister of Labour purportedly, and I use that word advisedly, walking out of a meeting that had been called by the House of Representatives between ASU and the ministry and other stakeholders. And then 24 hours later, or 48 hours later, pick whichever one is convenient for you, you have the same Ministry of Labour saying, oh, there are new unions in the university system. So it looks like some kind of premeditated move. It also looks as bad timing. And it also confirms the suspicion by persons that the objective of the federal government is to break the back of ASU. ASU already has its own internal problems, but that's not the issue right now. But the federal government now capitalizing on that and trying to use divide and rule tactics is disturbing, it's curious. The third point is that what has been done is to further divide the university system. So CONWA, that now has the license, the NAMDA, that now has the license, these are university lecturers. even if they have the numbers. So they will go to the classrooms and say they are not on strike, having been used to achieve their objectives, and they will teach the students. So ASU lecturers will say, we are not going to class. So you now have a divided university system. Are we going in this country to start having Conwa graduates and ASU graduates? That is where the problem lies. So, which leads me to the fourth point, number 4, which is to say that what has transpired so far does not help the university system in Nigeria. The university system in Nigeria has not only been politicized, it has also been heavily compromised. And the people who will suffer are those students in the public university system who now see a situation whereby within a university campus, you have Conwa lecturers, you will have ASU lecturers, you will have NAMDA lecturers, which takes us to the original idea of the thesis, the proposition, the premise in Paul Newman's book, The Idea of the University. What is the idea of the university? This is the idea of the university that Nigerians are trampling upon. Their political leaders, that is. The idea of the university is being sabotaged. If you go to university and as a student you have to make a choice between which lecturer is Conwa, which lecturer is ASU, which one is from NAMDA, is that the purpose? Is that the idea of the university? Finally, the point needs to be made that the politicization of the university system, would have far-reaching implications. At a time that other countries are talking about artificial intelligence, they are investing more and heavily in the education system. Nigerian political leaders are playing politics with the future of Nigerian children. Should anyone therefore be surprised that the National Association of Nigerian Students is fighting back, is pushing back, is saying that this is not how it should go. I think it's a very sad development, but of course, don't be surprised if the federal government comes out tomorrow and says, oh, this is legal. After all, people have the freedom of association. There are many things that may sound intelligent, but that may be completely specious. And I think that we're in that kind of situation if we don't look beyond the nose.
One thing is certain, this was going to happen. Like I said before, this is episode 4 in this ASU federal government debacle. Episode 1, after 7 months they couldn't reach an agreement, the labor minister was negotiating, then he passed it on to the education minister that says in episode 2, I will end this in 2 weeks. And guess what? After 2 weeks, he said, no, I didn't say that. I don't know where the media got it from. Then, episode 2 ends with the education minister saying, oh, these guys are a tough nut for us to crack at ASU. Then we send them to court. Episode 3 starts with a scene in an industrial court, finally gets a judgment to legitimize the strike, and ASU reacts and gets an appeal. Enter episode 4 with this Conwa debacle. All of a sudden, since 2018, now they see the need to finally register Conwa. Episode 6 probably will be about reactions to the report being submitted by Mr. Bajabia Miller and the team on the ASU strike and the continuation of the legal process. Probably 7, 8, 9 months down the line, the students are still at home, they go back and forth, there's a long-winded legal process, and this drama continues. But one thing I'll sound as a note of caution is the fact that Conwa and their members should remember, and there's a very popular Yoruba saying, that the whip that was used for the first wife is still kept there for the new wife. I'm sure they could get their interpretation right. And the federal government should also remember that for every time we take our eyes off our responsibility to provide education that will in turn run this economy, we deplete our gross domestic product and our national product. The effect of this ASUU strike, if the calculations will be done, it will have a correlative effect on our GDP very soon. And it will have a very dire effect on our nation and our future prospects. So, what we should do is to think hard about the decisions and the things we do. Because like I said yesterday, decisions does have consequences. But we might be very impetuous when we make those decisions, not to be circumspect in thinking about the consequences. I think the watchword this morning should be circumspection and not being impetuous in making those decisions. This is another one. Time will tell.